All right, so we left off last week with a topic of the week. It was a question posed in an article that I read that asked if the Moana costume was racist.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
big.
the title of the article is the Moana costume racist. So we posed the question, is it culturally inappropriate to dress your kids as Moana if you're non-Polynesian or white? And what do we got? So a lot of you chimed in, gave your answers. So what do you guys say?
Yeah, so we're just going to read off a few of the comments that we received. So one is from Taylor Elsas, and they wrote, "No, that's silly. That's like calling someone racist for dressing up as Princess Tiana." I'm not sure who that is, but if you don't want all people to like something, don't make it. You can't make it a Disney princess. You can't make a Disney princess and expect not all little girls to love her. My girls love her and are Hawaiian and yes, mostly white. But still, if someone said they couldn't wear her costume because it was culturally inappropriate, that would be silly, and they would still wear it anyways because it's about them, not some stuff they don't understand. That makes sense. I mean,
it makes sense, but she said, if you don't want no one to wear the costume, don't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they chose
but
to
Disney
make it.
wanted people to wear it, so they made it. But
Right.
it's other people that don't want them to wear the costume. So,
I mean, Disney every year after every movie they make, the year following they make the costumes.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of like expected.
yeah.
It's just one of those things, I guess. They're trying to. I guess they're just waiting for what the costume is gonna look like, maybe.
Right.
Because people could dress up as Moana without buying the actual. Does that make sense?
What? And
Yeah.
coming from Taylor, this just popped in my head. Because she's white and my brother is Hawaiian, right? Chamorro, Guamanian. So their kids are Hawaiian, but when they get, they could look white. So if they're wearing Moana costume, wouldn't they be considered white if no one knew?
Yeah, it's true. They would.
So what? So then you're like, hey, that white girl shouldn't be wearing Moana, yet she's Hawaiian. She's really Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So who has the last say? Is it for her to say, I'm Hawaiian, and then you go, okay, you're okay.
right.
But then what if a white girl is walking down and she looks white and then she's wearing it and then she's like, I'm Hawaiian, but she's not. It's sounding a little crazy. Okay, so what else you got?
So Dow Win said, I see nothing wrong with this. Then we have Kalani, which is our one of our like consistent viewers. He wrote
Kalani.
He
What did he
wrote
say?
quite a bit. So I'm going to read through
Go
this.
for it.
I'm going to read through it. So just
I like what he wrote, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he says, I know I went through this before in the past. Basically, people will find aspects of other people's cultures to portray in the spirit of Halloween, but with Polynesians, or I'll say it from a Hawaiian perspective, we had our kingdom stolen or currently occupied. We had been told not to speak the language, not to dress a certain way, not to worship our gods, not to practice some of our practices, and the list goes on and on. Now people do this, and we're supposed to not only accept it, but accept people's explanation why it is okay for them, but not why it is okay for us. I've been saying this since the early 90s. You cannot have the culture without the people, nor can you separate the two. I just lost the comment, sorry. It's a long
You're
one.
good. It's up on the screen if you need to look
People easily cop the culture, commodify it because they don't see the people as part of the culture. Separating us from the culture by quantifying us, that wicked Western system of blood quantum in order to disenfranchise us, helps us make it more acceptable for acts such as this. And that is going along with Disney's use of portraying cultures for their strict entertainment and profit. Well, dang, I'm having trouble reading this.
It's okay. We're good.
Keep
Just
going.
because I'm having thoughts in my head about nothing. I mean, we all have opinions. While others, I'm going back to this comment. While others may say it is an educational process, if we think back to all the Disney characters, did we really learn from them? Did we join in the fight of the Dakota pipeline because we learned from Pocahontas? What type of education and understanding of the Chinese people did we get out of Mulan? And the USA is still racist against Arabs and the Islamic religion. But did Aladdin help by educating us about these things?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that last paragraph was different from the other.
Well, I mean, I could agree with him from the beginning too. I see where he's coming from, culturally, right. But it's then you go back to Uncle Jeff talk, and I was just like that. I used to think the same way, and it's Disney, and they say Disney's a made up world. I think for these reasons, it's not. It's just escape reality, escape all this. So they create people for kids to look up to without having walls to stop them or barriers. Mm-hmm. But also they don't speak of the reality of different cultures either. You know, it's hard to pin down.
I just had a thought that I never thought about because
it just happens like
what
that.
You
know?
said.
Yeah, it just happens, you know.
But why do you think? I'm sure that Disney had the idea there was going to be controversies,
yeah.
which is why they had a cultural advisors and they went throughout Polynesia. They studied the culture, and yet they still said it was Te Fiti. It wasn't. It was inspired by Polynesia, but it's not real life.
Yeah,
they said that, right? And when I was watching it, I noticed it was a mixture. It wasn't Hawaiian. It wasn't Samoan. It wasn't Tahitian. It was like a mix of all of them.
Yeah.
My question is, why didn't they just do make believe? If they knew this was gonna happen, why didn't they say, make believe land? And do make-believe things and all make-believe? Why did they be inspired by Polynesian?
I mean, I think a lot of their movies are inspired by different cultures, like Aladdin, he said, Mulan. You got Coco. You have...
maybe because people can relate?
Yeah.
Well, that, and I think that it's... If they go too far off, then people are just gonna call it crap and say, "What is this?"
Well, it's like Star Wars.
You're making fun of.
Yeah.
You're making fun of. I think they would say that we're probably making fun of the culture.
Well, like if they do like Star Wars, where it's like all make believe, right? Like that's a complete Star Trek, completely made make believe, right?
Right.
I'm just thinking like, there's always gonna be controversy.
Yeah. I just feel
because I feel like they went above and beyond to do what's right, yet it was still made up, yet they're still fighting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's
too sensitive. It's 2018.
I don't think it's sensitivity. I think it's because indigenous people finally have the rights to practice their religion, and I mean they got it in the 70s to be able to do all this stuff, to be them. So to be honest, it's only been so many years for them to actually do what they do.
You know what? I'm thinking that the elders didn't have social media. They didn't have no say, no power, nothing. They got taken over, right? Mm-hmm. Then their kids are now in the education system, have social media, and now it's the kids that are adults now that are actually making a fuss. Not because they're complaining, but because they have a voice.
Yeah, and that,
maybe.
That's that. I think that key word. Yeah, they're actually able to say. Because the elders, you realized, don't say nothing because back then they were so traumatized that you're not allowed to. Yeah. So their kids are like, hey, you're not allowed to say this, but yet they get the opportunity to voice their opinion about what they think is wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's what's coming about is you're finally able to be heard. And it's kind of hard because they're kids. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I think it was wrong because my niece has had Moana parties. She dresses Moana. I didn't say anything then, so why should I sit here and actually think it's wrong now?
And maybe that's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah.
They say something, and yet in their own family, it's happening and it's okay. It's like, well, that's different.
But and then there was a comment I've seen before. It was, if they're dressing up as the character as in the movie, there's nothing wrong, but if she's trying to be I guess, islander princess or something culturally where there's a status, I think that's where something may be, where the line could be drawn, because there is a traditional outfit for that. Mm-hmm. And if someone came in that, I'd be like, well, okay, then you did your research, you should know better than that to do that.
All right, well, I don't want to go too much because we're going to go do the whole show, but